So I'm recording this after having already filmed the video you're about to watch, with the disclaimer that this is a lengthy video and it's a 3-month review on the xTool, and you should probably watch the video in its entirety if you haven't purchased the xTool yet. Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and it's time for my 3-month review on my xTool D1. So Father's Day 2022 was when I received the xTool. It was delivered here by the Postal Service on a Sunday holiday, and shocked to see it arrive then, but it did. And that's when this adventure began. I was completely unfamiliar with lasers, with LightBurn, with engraving. I knew nothing of this adventure and what was involved and what I was getting myself into. So first question, would I buy the xTool D1 again, knowing what I know now after 3 months of use with this tool? And I would have to say that it depended. It depended on what I was going to be using the xTool for. I have the xTool D1 10-watt laser, and if I was going to be doing strictly hobbyist, creating things for myself, then I would probably consider it. If I'm going into business, or if I am in business and I'm looking to start up a side job, probably not. The xTool has some limitations. It has some problems, but over 3 months' time, I've been able to learn workarounds, how to get by without limit switches and be able to produce and reproduce the same products without depending on any kind of limit switches. But I'm using LightBurn. And the LightBurn software has some features built into it that can help you overcome the limitations of the xTool D1. So if you're using the software that come with the xTool, I don't know. I never use that. The only time I open it is if I need to see xTool's recommended settings, if it's easier to access that than it is to go to their website and go to their support page. But as a business and buying a laser to either go into business or to use for business, then no, this probably isn't the laser for you. Sorry, xTool. Turns out I bought this initially for just hobby purposes only. I was not planning to do any type of business with this. But things happened, things changed, and now I find myself in a situation where the things that I am creating have created a demand for. And initially I started out just making stuff in order to be able to create content. And as I created items making content for YouTube, I decided to, sell those things. I either sell them or give them away, and hey, if I can sell them, sell them. But that has led into now I'm actually prepping for my first craft show. And it's work. It's a lot of work. And it's a lot more work because I'm working with the xTool D1 and not a professional grade laser. I'm doing stuff with this laser that probably, well, definitely wasn't intended for production purposes. One-off hobby things here and there, man, it's a lot of fun, and you can be really creative. In fact, let's take a look at some of the things I've got here that I've done just in the past week with my xTool. All right, so these are trevets that I'm creating. They can either be trevets or pieces of art, but this is a 6x6 ceramic tile that I have engraved, this one is a design that I created using the array tool in LightBurn, and then put a little monogram in the middle. Another design I've been working with, popular saying, Jeep lovers, don't follow me, you won't make it. And this one is one that I created completely unique myself. Mondays suck, mud days rock. So these are Chevettes. I haven't put any feet on them as of yet. I've got them, and because it's going to depend on the buyer. Are they buying them for a piece of art and they don't need the little rubber feet for Chevette purposes? And I'll install them as needed. But engraving tile, this is my pride. This was the very first creation that I did that's completely my own, completely unique. I designed a lady's clutch with a living hinge, and I'm selling these for about $200 a piece. I have the plans for them on my Etsy store. You can buy the plans for $10. But this has been extremely popular, and I'm actually donating this for a silent auction for the charity event I'm going to mid-October. Earring designs. Earrings galore. I got little studs, a little bit larger studs, foxes, cat in the moon, sunflowers, and I want you to look at the detail on those. That looks really nice. And then welding the letters together to make the word Jeep. Jeep in the grill. And then just, the lighting is horrible here. Let's see, there we go. That helps a little bit. So that's a Highland cow. Turtles. More of the Highland cow. There's the fox again. Owls. Inlays. More inlays. I really like the geometric designs, and then the cutouts. More sunflowers. Those are all the earrings. And then these are cool. These are a lot of fun to build, and they look really neat. These are 3D boxes. And these are, I think, 2.5 by 2.5. And these are a little smaller, I think 2 inches. But how small that is. And I've actually got the little spider. It's fragile because it's practically hanging on by a thread. This is what I do for every piece of new material that I'm working with. People ask me, what are your settings? What are your settings? Well, that's how I find out what my settings are, what my settings are going to be. I do a test grid on every new piece, and then I put that in my art library. A little natural sign, natural edge, natural plank. Flask. This is the leather flask. The stainless flask. And the coated stainless. Quarter-inch round monogram. Trying to get it where you can see real good. That's wood. Keychains. This is the charity event we're going to this coming up. I've got those as giveaways. Then this is a design that I created. That's his 1/4 inch black acrylic. Not 1/4 inch, that's 1/8 inch black acrylic. So as you can see, I've learned to work with the machine and make it work for me. But I honestly, now that I find myself in the position I'm in, I wish I had bought a larger possibly a fiber laser or CO2 or just a quicker, faster, more powerful laser. And that may be in the near future for me. I may be adding that if I'm going into true production, but we'll see. I'm having fun working with LightBurn and designing and creating all of these neat things, and the things that I get requests for the most is what I'm putting on the Etsy store and selling the designs. I'm building that Etsy store slowly but surely, so look in the links below for a connection to the Etsy store, and support me if you can. Even if you don't need to buy the $1.25 plans for an earring, buy one anyway. help a brother out. So let's talk about the hurdles that I've had to overcome with the xTool. Okay, so the biggest hurdle, if you've been following me, you know, have been these god-awful lenses. This is the dust lens that's installed on the xTool D1 in order to protect the laser module from dust accumulating inside the nozzle. So this goes between the actual laser lens and the output. And within a month, I cracked 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Now the first one I cracked and continued to try and using this thing, and only because, again, I knew nothing about lasers and laserology, and I didn't know about how frequently the things needed to be cleaned. And so this one with the most deterioration, that one is the first one that cracked, and you can see how bad that thing is. I kept trying to use it, and once that laser cracked, you start losing output, losing power, because it's going through that refracted glass there, because that's just a little piece of glass. It has nothing to do with the focusing or the power. But once it's fractured, well, you're not getting 100% of the power to the surface. And so I continued to increase power until it just wasn't doing anything. And I started researching and found, hey, the lens is busted. Well, I contacted xTool, and they said they'd send me one under warranty, but it was taking forever, and that's another issue I've got. We'll talk about that. But I bought 2 of them from xTool online. So 2 I purchased, 1 they sent me, and these were cracking I was going about 1 a week. One of them cracked after just a single day of use. Now, my days, I might actually be in the shop here working. I have the laser running for a good 8 hours. But 2 of them cracked fairly quickly. The third one cracked. And after contacting xTool, the very first time I contacted them, the customer sales rep said, it's okay to use it without the lens until your replacement comes in. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, why is the lens there? It's just a dust cap. It's all it's for. And I said, okay. Well, I had started a new cleaning regimen after the first laser lens cracked, and I was cleaning the laser daily. So when those other 3 lenses cracked, that cracked even after I had begun my daily cleaning regimen. So I was going through these things, like I say, at least 1 a week, and sometimes in a day. Well, after my 4th lens cracked, I contacted them again and told them, I got something going on here. And they said, well, we'll send you out some replacement lenses. I said, oh, okay. And I was concerned about power output, or maybe is the laser putting out too much power? What was going to... But I was contacted by viewers such as yourself on YouTube who told me they owned the first versions of the xTool that came out that didn't have this dust lens. The first design did not have these dust lenses on them, and they said they've never had a problem. They've been using their machines for a year or longer daily, not cleaning as often as I am, and have never had an issue. And so I'm like, okay. Well, the first person told me at xTool that I could use it without it. But when I contacted the second time, she told me, she said, no, under no circumstances should you use that laser without the dust lens. Well, I heeded or listened to the YouTubers and not xTool. I have been using my laser now for going on a month without this dust lens. Not had a problem. I continued to do my daily cleaning regimen, but discovered that it wasn't necessary. And I could tell that because when I had the dust lens on there and I clean with a cotton swab and alcohol, as soon as you touch that dust lens with that cotton swab, you can see black soot and dust on it immediately. Well, without the dust lens on there, and I was doing the same thing directly to the laser module, there was no dust, there was no soot. So that dust lens acts more like a dust magnet than it does anything. So if you're having troubles, throw that son of a gun away, and I believe you'll be all right. I have been. Now, if you throw it away and yours blows up a day later, sorry. I'm just telling you my personal experience. And I've gone through 4 of them, and they did send me a pack of lenses. And when I say a pack, I haven't opened it. It's still a sealed bag that came from xTool. And there are 3 lenses in here. And I don't think that I'll be using them. I don't think I'm going to open them. There's no point in it. They're more problem and headache than they are good. So that's that. Now, let's talk about the customer service. Okay, so their customer service, they've been very nice and been very helpful. They've taken care of my issues, but it's inconvenient. I bought this laser knowing fully that it was a Chinese laser and that they have no US-based customer support. I knew that when I bought it, and I bought it anyway. And I don't think it's necessary that they should have US-based customer support. But if they're going to market as heavily as they are to the US market, it would be better for the consumer if they at least catered to the US market time zones. So if I have a problem and I go onto their website, and they have an option on their website for chat, ain't nobody ever there because they work their banker's hours in China. So whenever I'm online, they're not. So that chat feature is useless in this hemisphere or this side of the world. So they should be offering, if not US based, at least have customer support on staff and available during US time zones. Or, for that matter, 24 hours a day, that customer service should be staffed, because they're selling the heck out of these things. Every time you turn around, xTool video, xTool video, xTool ads everywhere. And they're coming out with new product constantly. So they've got to be doing extremely well. I don't see much reason why they shouldn't have customer service available regardless of where you live. So that's a big strike. Because if I have a problem and I've got a question, I can email them, but they don't get it until I'm in the bed asleep. And it's the next day before I get an answer, if they get back to me the next day. Sometimes it was 2 days before I got a reply. So that's another strike. There's a couple of reasons not to buy it. I don't know. It's structurally, it's a great piece. It's solid. It doesn't seem to have too many issues with rigidity. It's a good, strong machine. I would like probably something that was, I definitely would want limit switches and worm gear driven. And what would be really nice is to have the ability to focus the machine with the computer, and have the X and Y axis are motorized, but so is the Z, with a probe even. That way you get a lot more precise focusing and consistent focusing. The kickstand's pretty cool, but it's aggravating. But so far, a lot of negatives. As you've seen, I can work with this machine. I work with it daily, and I can create with this machine. But I feel like I could create much better, much quicker with a better machine. So if you're a hobbyist looking for something to do for and make things for you and your grandkids, yeah, it's an okay machine. But there are too many limitations for me to consider buying it again. What have I not addressed? Oh, the RA2 Pro. I have that as well. I've got the rotary. I've got the standard rotary, and then I've got the RA2 Pro. And I've done some engraving with cylinders, be it tumblers, coffee mugs, rings. My ring video has been one of the highest watched videos I have, and it was lackluster success. In fact, that's when I discovered my first crack lens, because on my second or third ring attempt, I got no result. I got no output, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe it was the type of material, but no, it turns out it was the laser. I could see a laser coming out, but there was no power getting to the surface of the engraved surface, because it wasn't engraved. It was just a surface. They advertise engraving rings, and you can do the external on the ring pretty easy. They say you can do the internal rings, and you can, but you got to set up a jungle gym of stuff, and it's not worth it, because you can't be you take a lot of practice in order to get precise with it, to get exact with it, and to be able to depend on producing quality results that you can feel comfortable with doing someone else's jewelry. So rings really aren't practical. But the other things, doing anything cylindrical, there we go, I had stutter. Miniature baseball bats I've done. Anything that you can put in the on the RA2 Pro, it's got jaws that can clamp in and secure. It's not just sitting on the rotary. So the RA2 Pro is definitely, if you're going to be doing mugs and tumblers, you need the RA2 Pro if you're going to buy the xTool. So if you're still watching up to this point, a great big thank you. I appreciate the subscribers that have subscribed to the channel, and for hanging around this long on a video like this. But this was a 3-month review, and I felt like there was some details that need to be discussed, not just a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because it has its pros and its cons, and depending on what you're going to do with it, it's a big deciding factor on whether this is the right tool for you. Initially, it was the right tool for me, but now that I've grown as much as I have in my abilities, I've outgrown the ability of this tool with I can overcome the roadblocks and the stumbling blocks, but I feel like I can do so much more if I didn't have to work around all this. So no, I probably wouldn't buy it again. But that's because I would want something much, much nicer. And if you don't need something with all those bells and whistles and capabilities, then this, yeah, it's a great hobbyist laser. You are limited by your imagination and your ability to work within LightBurn. If you can master LightBurn, then there are things you can do with this laser that people not using LightBurn will never be able to do. So LightBurn's something you need to do, regardless which laser you've got. And please subscribe to the channel. I'm literally begging you. I have so many returning viewers that are still watching this video up to now and have not subscribed yet. You may not be aware, but your subscription doesn't cost you anything, obviously. And by you subscribing, you are only going to get notifications of new videos if you've hit the notification button. But hit that subscribe button, and it will help me out immensely and will help me to be able to continue to do these videos. And we both benefit, I hope. So thank you for watching. Take the time, ding, ding, hit that subscribe channel or that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you next video. This is Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'm out.